everyone, Novels Wonderland here. Thank you all for the love and support you've shown me and the channel.
HOTD, as a zombie, I devour ghouls and parasites. Chapter 129 to 135, Chapter 128. The tea is hot, so I take a small sip first. Apple flavor, delicious. Shizuka is sitting on the floor cushion next to me, legs crossed, both hands wrapped around her cup. Every so often she turns her head toward the bed to check on Miko, and when she sees she's still breathing fine, she turns back to face front. Miko-chan. She really is doing better. Yeah. All the shock she's going to feel when she wakes up. Poor thing. She sighs quietly and goes still, watching the steam rise from her tea. I watch mine too. Shizuka might seem scatterbrained on the outside, but on the inside she notices everything. I've known her for years. I used to live on the streets, and even though she never knew it, whenever I crossed paths with her in front of this house, she'd grab me by the arm and bring me inside. Here, Arata-chan. I don't fit in this shirt anymore, do you want it? She'd use excuses like that to give me clothes. And not just me, but other kids too, even though the clothes still had the tags on them, and were sized for children. So when it comes to family, I know a fair bit about hers. I know her parents had another child, long after her. A boy. And for some reason that boy was abandoned. Shizuka told me about it a while back, when I asked why she gave away clothes. Turns out she does it as a way to atone, somehow, for her mother's sins. And back then all I thought was that the abandoned kid's situation sounded a little like mine, so I just kept quiet and listened. Looking back now, it was pretty obvious. In the original High School of the Dead anime, Shizuka has no siblings. Not a single one mentioned. And yet, in this world, she does. Slurp. I take another sip of tea. The truth is I don't exist in any anime. I'm not a character I can remember from Tokyo Ghoul, or Hellsing, or Parasite, or High School of the Dead, or Owari no Seraph. I'm nowhere. But here I am, and I have parents who abandoned me at birth. It'd be pretty dumb if I still hadn't figured it out by now. That abandoned kid is me. It seems that when I appeared in this world, I was forced into a family. And the family I was thrown into was Shizuka's. That's why she has a brother who didn't exist in the original. Arata-chan, are you okay? I look up. Shizuka is watching me with her head tilted. Yeah. I just zoned out for a second. You got so quiet. You scared me. I was thinking about something you told me a while back. Me? What did I tell you? About your brother. She raises her eyebrows. Ah. You still remember that? She sets her cup on the floor and shifts to get more comfortable, her expression going little nostalgic. Honestly, I barely talk about it anymore, Arata-chan. My parents didn't want me knowing either. I only found out because I found some papers in a drawer. Hospital papers. Exactly. It said they'd had a baby. But the baby didn't stay with them. And they never told you why. They said that child was the devil's son. Saying those words, Miss Marikowa presses her lips together. Calling your own child the devil's son, they must have their reasons. Still, it's cruel, you know. I don't know if I'm the devil's son or not, but seeing me born looking like a zombie, that was probably their most honest thought. She raises her cup again and takes a sip. Sometimes I wonder what he's like. Whether he's alive, or if he died. Whether he'd have my face or not. If I saw him on the street, I wouldn't even recognize him, you know. It's sad to think about it that way. I'm right here, Wunchin. Right here, with the cup of tea you made me. But I'm not going to tell her that, because knowing wouldn't do her any good, and it would only bring her problems. If life ever leads us there, we'll see. Shizuka looks at me with that half-suspicious expression people get when they can tell you're thinking about something but not saying it out loud. Arata-chan, your eyes are shining weird. Ho! Really? You're plotting something, aren't you? Also, your eyes look softer. That's strange, your Wani-chan feels a little moved. I'm not plotting anything. Your Wani-chan is not convinced. Just as she leans in a little to get a better look at my face, a sharp pain shoots through my head. NGH. My hand goes up on its own and presses against my forehead. The cup almost slips, but I catch it in time with my other hand. Arada-chan. I'm fine. What happened? You went pale. It's just a bit of a headache. She looks at me with worried eyes, but after I settle her down with a few words, she stops pushing. She goes to the kitchen to get me a glass of water. While she's gone, I lower my hand from my forehead and breathe slowly. One of my all-seeing eyes was destroyed. That's how it works. When someone finds one of my eyes and destroys it, I get a sharp pain in the head because the eyes are linked to my brainwave frequency. It doesn't last long. In the past the pain was a lot worse, but as I get stronger it doesn't hit as hard. And from what I can tell, I wasn't in Tokyo. It was in Osaka. At the Hiragi family's estate. Ho. So that's why I hadn't found them before. They weren't in Shibuya. Ever since Kiriko told me about Owari no Seraph, I'd been scattering my eyes all over Tokyo, especially Shibuya, one of the 23 wards, or in this case, 24 wards of Tokyo. Shibuya is supposed to be where most of the original story takes place. I sent about 10 eyes across the whole area, and spent days checking. But I found no trace of the Hiragi family or Gurens. That gave me a bad feeling, so I sent some eyes to other cities. Yokohama, Kyoto, Osaka, Nagoya. And well, looks like it paid off. A few hours ago I tracked the Hiragi family to Osaka, and left an eye near their estate to keep watch at my own pace. But I moved the eye inside the house, and someone destroyed it. That doesn't surprise me much. The Hiragi family has powerful people, and they can probably sense strange things. It was only a matter of time. At least now I know where they are. So why are they in Osaka, and not Shibuya like in the original? Tokyo is probably too crowded. In this world, Tokyo is a mess. Ghouls everywhere, and the CCG hunting ghouls everywhere. Any organization with half a brain wouldn't want their main base in a place like that. It makes sense that the Hiragi family moved to Osaka. Wait, actually. From what I remember, the Hiragi family is an old Japanese clan, probably with at least 1,000 years of history. So isn't it possible they were based in Osaka from the beginning, and not in Tokyo, and that has nothing to do with ghouls or the CCG? Well, that doesn't matter much. Now that I know where they are, I can keep watching little by little. Find out how far the events of Owari no Seraph have gotten in this world. Whether Mahiru Hiragi is already dead or not. Whether Guren has already made his demon contract or not yet. And most importantly, whether the experiment with the virus that kills all humans above a certain age is close to being released, or still a long way off. If it's close, I'm going to have a lot of work to do. Though first of all, can I even be sure my knowledge of the manga is useful? It wouldn't be strange if events played out differently in this world. I need to be careful. Come to think of it, the Hiragi family probably isn't the only one aware of these things. The other factions must have their own plans and goals circling around the Seraph of the End too. Arada-chan, here. Shizuka comes back with the glass of water. I take it and drink slowly. Thanks. Is your head feeling better? Better. It's barely there now. Don't you want to lie down for a bit? The guest room is free. I'm fine here, really. This woman worries way too much. She stands beside me for a second, staring at me with a look that says she's not convinced. Then she sighs and turns toward the bed. I'm going to check on Miko-chan again. Stay right there. Omo. She goes over to the bed and kneels beside Miko. She takes out the small penlight, lifts her eyelids, checks her pupils, takes her pulse, and puts her hand on her forehead. While she does that, I sit there looking at my cup. My expression shifts, and reflected on the surface of the liquid is a smiling face full of teeth. Hiragi family in Osaka. I'm curious about you. Chapter 130, Chapter 129. 1,690 words. 2:15 a.m. I checked the clock on the wall, and that's when Miko slowly began to wake up. Even though I'm not looking at her directly, through the emotional frequency leaking off her I can sense the shift. Shizuka, who's been sitting beside her for a while now, notices right away. She'd stayed awake all these hours, tired as she was patiently watching over Miko. Arata-chan. She's waking up. Miko's eyes blink twice, her pupils a little cloudy with moisture. She stares at the ceiling, maybe realizing it's not the same one from her house, then turns her head slightly and fixes on a lamp, before noticing the blanket draped over her body. MMGH. A small hand creeps out from under the blanket and reaches up toward her forehead, and as it does, her fingers brush against the stitches. Careful. Don't touch that, okay? Shizuka's soft voice makes Miko turn her head. And her eyes open wide. Huh. Hi. Who are you? Miko tries to sit up, but the pain in her forehead hits her, and she lets out a small whimper. Shizuka, catching that, places her hand on Miko's shoulder, and applies a little downward pressure to ease her back down. Easy, easy. No sudden movements, okay? You hit your head really hard, sweetie. Who are you? Where am I? I'm Marikawa Shizuka. You're in my home, so everything's fine, don't worry. Miko's eyelids flutter several times as she tries to make sense of things. At the same time her eyes move around the room, taking in the bed she's lying in, the lamp lighting the room, then the small table with the 2 empty cups, and finally they find me. The moment her eyes land on me, her pupils dilate, and her lips tremble before she says, Arata-san. Hi, Miko. She stays completely silent for a second or two. Then her eyes fill with tears and she starts to shake, tears rolling down her cheeks. Arata-san. 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 She says my name 3 times, each one quieter than the last. She's checking that I'm real, that I won't disappear the moment she lets her guard down. Ha. I let out a sigh and rubbed the back of my head. Honestly, I'm not good at this emotional stuff. I wonder how many times I've seen almost the exact same thing now, with Saya, with Tuka, and now Miko. Well, nothing to do but figure it out as I go. I get up from the cushion and walk to the bed where she's lying, kneeling down on the floor beside her. Hey. Arata-san. I'm here. I put my hand on her head, on the silver hair where there are no wounds, and stroke it. She lets out a sob louder than the ones before, and turns toward me, toward the side of the bed where I'm kneeling. Both little hands grab the fabric of my shirt, and hold on tight. It's okay. It's over now. And no. Miko. What about my mom? The question that was always going to come. Shizuka looks at me over Miko's shoulder. Her eyes ask the question, what do I say, without opening her mouth. I give her a small nod to let her know I've got this part. As I think about how to say it, I try to arrange the words as carefully as I can. If I dropped the raw truth on her, considering this girl's personality, she'd shatter. But I can't lie to her completely either, because sooner or later she'll figure it out, and that would only make it worse. So I need to find something in between that would hold her up for now. Your mom isn't here anymore, Miko. She goes very still. She's not here. No. But I saw her. The woman who lived with you wasn't your mom. Your real mom probably died a long time ago, and that thing took her body. That's what they do. Parasites. They get inside a person, take what's in their head, absorb their memories, and keep on existing with that person's face. But even knowing that the woman was a parasite, and not her mother, that doesn't make it better. Because that parasite played the part of a real mother perfectly, and kept Miko's love for her completely intact. It wasn't your mom who wanted to hurt you. It was something else that wore her name. Your real mom was already gone. She squeezes her eyes shut as the tears keep falling. Is that true? It's true. My real mom didn't hate me. She didn't hate you. Parasites have only existed for about 2 years. And that parasite must have copied your mother's feelings and behavior toward you. Her fingers on my shirt are shaking. I heard things, really horrible things, Arata-san. She said I was her lamb, and that she had been feeding me well so. She hiccups on a sob, and the rest of the sentence disappears in her throat. I press my hand a little more firmly against her head. That wasn't her. That was the monster. Miko, look at me. She raises her face. Red eyes, runny nose and hair sticking to her cheek from the tears. That was not her. Do you believe me? She nods twice. She doesn't look sure, but she nods anyway. Good. Good girl. Shizuka, who's been quiet this whole time, comes around to the other side of the bed. She has a damp towel in her hands and wipes Miko's cheeks, cleaning away the tears and snot. Miko-chan, do you want a glass of water? Yes, please. Wait just a little bit, okay. Shizuka gets up and trots off to the kitchen in small quick steps. While she's gone, Miko keeps holding onto my shirt. She doesn't let go, and I don't move away. Arata-san. Why did you come? Huh? How did you know I was in trouble? If I tell her I had special eyes I assign to people I care about, I'd have to explain a whole lot more on top of that, including that I'm not human. She just found out the woman she lived with was a monster. It wouldn't surprise me if right now she'd reject anything that could be called a monster, whether that's a vampire, a ghoul, or a parasite. In short, she's not in any condition to hear all of that right now. I was passing by. I was walking through the area. It's on my way home anyway. I go out running at night sometimes because I train. And I heard something strange, so I looked in. And I saw you. She seems a little suspicious, narrowing her eyes. And still. I'm glad. I'm so glad you were nearby, Arata-san. I'm glad too. Her small hands tightened around my shirt, and this time it's out of gratitude. Shizuka comes back with the glass of water. She hands it to Miko, and Miko drinks in small sips. Then she stays sitting up, back against the headboard, staring down at the blanket over her legs in silence. Miko-chan, are you hungry? Not really. But a little. How about soup? Your Wani-chan makes soup really fast, and it's really good. Okay. Wait for me, Miko-chan. While Shizuka heads back to the kitchen again, I sit down on the floor with my back against the side of the bed, right beside Miko's legs. I don't move far, since she still has her fingers wrapped around my arm. Arata-san. She says my name. Can I stay here? Tonight, and... She closes her eyes, her body trembling. And... I never want to go back to that house. You don't have to go back, Miko. Really? I already talked to Shizuka. You can stay here as long as you need. She has the whole place to herself, so it's no problem. From the kitchen, Shizuka's voice rings out. You can stay as long as you want, Miko-chan. I have everything here, and you won't be missing a thing. Miko blinks a couple of times in the direction of the kitchen, then turns her face toward me, looking a little embarrassed. I really can. You heard her. At my words, her eyes fixed on my face without blinking, like she's trying to print it in her memory. Through the emotional frequency leaking off her, I feel waves of strong feeling wanting to reach out and hold on. And the layer of affection surrounding her, up until today it had been yellow, the ordinary fondness of a shy girl toward the boy who had helped her once at school when some idiots were giving her a hard time. But right now, in this moment, after everything tonight, that yellow layer shifts and turns pink, the kind that could be called ordinary love. A little while after that it moves to a deeper pink, and faint threads of red start appearing. It'll reach red soon. Normally it doesn't happen this fast, but when a person goes through a night like this one and you're the one who pulled them out from the bottom, affection doesn't grow the way it usually does. About that, there's not much for me to think over. Whether I wanted it or not, I was responsible for what I did, and what I did tonight was save her. That means it's on me to look after her now, and not drop her halfway. Arida-san. Thank you. Heh, you don't have to thank me every time. Thank you. Looks like she won't stop until I accept it. I let out a small laugh and ruffle her silver hair, careful not to hurt her. At my touch, she closes her eyes and rests her head against my hand. From the kitchen comes the sound of soup starting to bubble, and the humming voice of Shizuka talking to the water in the pot like the water might talk back. Chapter 131, Chapter 130. 1063 words. Miko wakes up around 9 in the morning. I'm dozing on the floor with my back against the bed when I hear her stir. She sits up and stays there for a moment, looking around the room with slightly lost eyes. Her feet find the floor and she looks at them for a second before standing. Looks like she hasn't noticed me yet. With that, she heads to the bathroom Shizuka showed her last night. I hear the tap turn on and off, and she's in there for a while. When she comes back her eyes are a little red, but she isn't crying. I have the water hot, so I set a cup of tea on the small table before she sits down. Here. Thank you. She takes it with both hands and holds it without drinking. From upstairs comes the sound of Shizuka moving around in her room, and from the street the noise of a few cars passing. That's all there is. Arida-san. What do I do now? She says those words without lifting her eyes. I think about it for a moment before answering, because telling her we'll figure it out wouldn't do her much good. She looks like someone who needs a purpose. For now you drink the tea. Then you have breakfast when Shizuka comes down. And after that, aren't you curious? You've got a lot of things ahead of you. A lot of things. She looks up and as some life comes back into her pupils, she takes the first sip from the cup. Right then, Shizuka's footsteps come down the stairs. She appears in the living room with her blonde hair half tangled and still in her chick pajamas, spots Miko awake, and trots over to look at her forehead up close. You're up. Good, nothing wrong with the stitches. Does it hurt? A little. That's normal. After breakfast I'll change the gauze, okay? Here, these are for the pain. She pulls a small packet with 2 pills from her pajama pocket and sets it on the table beside the cup, and without waiting for an answer she's already in the kitchen making noise with pans. I'm making toast and eggs. What do you want, Arida-chan? Whatever's fine. I want blood. Okay. The 3 of us have breakfast at the kitchen table. Shizuka does most of the talking, and Miko listens while eating her toast in small pieces. I eat without saying much. Every now and then Miko turns her head toward me, for a second or two, and then looks back at her plate. After breakfast Shizuka changes the gauze on the couch, talking the whole time, and Miko holds still without complaining even though she clenches her teeth a couple of times. When she finishes, Shizuka goes to shower, and the living room goes quiet again. Miko rests her hands in her lap and looks at the floor. I get up to take my cup to the kitchen, and when I turn around at the sink, Miko is right behind me. That startled me a little. Without a word, she'd followed me like a ghost. She stands there looking at the kitchen window with her hands in front of her. I lean back against the sink and watch her with a small smile. We stay like that for a while, until Shizuka comes downstairs ready to leave. Her bag hangs from her shoulder, and her hair is up in a high ponytail. "I'll be back at 6, Miko-chan. There's stuff in the fridge for lunch and my number's on the paper on the table." "Yes, thank you. Arata-chan, stay a little longer, okay?" "Of course." She winks at me and leaves, closing the door behind her. Miko goes to the couch and I sit on the one beside it. The clock on the wall ticks, and outside the street carries the sounds of people talking and footsteps, though I think I'm the only one who can hear it with my enhanced senses. After a while, she speaks. "Arata-san, are you leaving soon? Once Shizuka gets back to keep you company. I have things to take care of. I can't let those parasites go. They've probably already figured out that 2 members of their group were found and killed. In that case, some will want to run and regroup somewhere else, while others who feel secure enough in their human integration won't care either way. Either way, I won't let any of them get away. Ah. Heh. Though I'll be back tonight to stay over. Maybe we play cards." "Really?" "Omo." She nods and the corners of her mouth lift slightly. A second later her hand moves across the couch and comes to rest on my arm, 2 fingers on the sleeve. She probably didn't realize she did it. In the sunlight coming a little more through the window, Miko doesn't want to let go of me. I leave Shizuka's apartment a little after 6 in the evening, when she gets back from her university, and as I head down the building stairs I start activating the all-seeing eyes. I make 11 in total and scatter them across the area, on street corners, utility poles, and building windows. Most of them show nothing unusual, just people heading home, some drunk on the sidewalk, and 2 kids playing in a park. But 3 of the eyes catch something that pulls my attention. On the eye at the utility pole on the South Street, a middle-aged man is walking north at a very steady pace. At the hardware store corner to the east, a woman carrying a grocery bag is moving in the same direction. At the apartment building on the West Avenue, a young man comes out through the side door and heads north too. They aren't together and they aren't close to each other, but all 3 keep a similar pace and are heading the same way. I leave the building and start following them from a distance, using the eyes to keep track without getting too close. The emotional frequency leaking off all 3, and hitting my eyes feels flat. That isn't normal for a human. Though maybe they're just tired. No. I don't think that's it. Because it's the same as the parasites I've seen through the eyes. Chapter 132, Chapter 131. 1051 words. I keep following. About 10 blocks north, 2 more join them coming from a different direction. Then 3 more from the east. None of them interact with each other, none speed up to catch the one ahead. From what I can tell, they're converging on the same point without making it look like they are. When they reach a dark street at the edge of an industrial zone, with a warehouse at the back whose windows are boarded up with plywood, there are 8 of them in total, and they go through a side door one by one. I climb to the roof of the building across the street, and send an all-seeing eye through the gap in one of the boarded windows. Inside I can see more, about 25 in total. Some sitting on crates, others standing, and in the back someone has put several dark plastic bags on a table, and 2 of them are dividing up the contents into smaller portions. I don't need to see inside the bags to know what's in them. They've been using this meeting point for a while, to distribute resources and share information. This is a parasite community. Among them are the ones called hunters, the ones responsible for finding good quality prey. This way, if only the hunters attack, they don't draw much attention as long as each one spaces out their kills. Heh. I smile and let my eyes narrow. I couldn't care less what they do to other people, but it makes me angry that one of them treated Miko like a lamb being fattened up. Not to mention that one of these days, their targets might be people who are close to me and dear to my heart. I don't like that at all. I drop from the roof and enter through the side of the warehouse. The wall is sealed with a metal sheet, so I push it aside without making noise. It smells bad inside. The first 3 I take out before they realize someone's there. Blood threads from my fingers, straight to the head, cutting clean like small pieces of tofu. They drop with wet sounds and the others take a few seconds to react. When they do, some of them come at me with transformed limbs and heads and flesh blades extending from the tentacles, and others try to bolt for the door at the back. I let the ones fleeing go for now since I can track them with the eyes later. The ones attacking I cut down as I move through them without stopping, because a parasite dies when you sever the head and separate it from the host. For the ones that have fully fused with the host body, I have to reduce them to pieces. With my speed and control over blood, it's not a job that takes long. 22 seconds for the 12 that stay to fight. I stand still in the middle of the warehouse. Then I hear something with my enhanced senses. Someone moving. Unlike the ones who tried to run, this one hasn't moved at all from the start. In the shadow behind the table, and when they step forward into the small reach of the fluorescent tube buzzing overhead, I see it's a stocky man with broad shoulders, wearing a construction worker's outfit, and he's smiling. Scresh. With that wet sound, tentacles burst from his back as he comes forward. Rinkaku type Kagun. For dark, thick tentacles. And mixed in among them, thinner translucent filaments that move separately from the Kagun. I narrow my eyes. A ghoul with a parasite. Or rather, a ghoul and a parasite that are no longer two separate things. Swoosh. I lunge at him, and the tentacles come from 2 angles at once. I dodge both, but the third attack, one of the parasite's tentacles, grazes my left side and leaves a clean cut through the clothes. My blood starts to flow. I step back and watch him from a distance as the wound closes. I throw for blood blades from different angles. He cuts 2 with his Kagun, and the third and fourth go through his left and right shoulder. He glances at the shoulder, and the wound starts closing too. I notice his regeneration is faster than normal for a ghoul. Heh, so you're the one who killed those 2, right? And now you've finished off all of them. He's still smiling as he rolls the shoulders that have already closed up. And you did nothing to help any of them. Saying that, I lunge again. At the same time I materialize a single tentacle aimed at his head. He deflects the blow with his forearm, grabs my tentacle and pulls. The force shoves me to the right. Before I can recover my footing, a tentacle hits me in the back and I get launched into the warehouse wall, which breaks outward, and I land in the alley behind it. I get up off the ground as the wound in my back regenerates. The hybrid steps through the hole in the wall and stands in the alley in front of me. His eyes shine with amusement, and he's got a wide grin on his face. As I look at him, I think about something that never made sense to me. In the past I've already come across ghouls that have been parasitized. A normal blade can't damage a ghoul. A parasite infects its target by taking control of part of its body. Under normal conditions, a parasite that is nothing more than a worm shouldn't be able to get through a ghoul's defenses. But there are several ghoul parasites. I remember what Kiriko told me. The myth of creation. If everything comes from the same origin, if they're different pieces of the same being, then a parasite that found a way to break through a ghoul's defenses wouldn't be that far-fetched. Could you think of it as 2 pieces of the same origin finding their way back to each other? Though that's just my guess. I still don't know if it's right. The hybrid tilts his head. Done thinking? Maybe. I release blood from both arms at the same time, and start walking toward him as I shape it. Chapter 133, Chapter 132. 1,350 words. Mr. Hybrid is pretty strong. We've been trading hits in the alley for a while now, and every time, I think I've got him in a bad spot, the parasite's blade filaments react before the Kagun does, and deflect my attack or open another cut on me. By the time my last wound closes, I already have 2 new ones. He's got cuts too, but every time my blood blades slice through his arm or open his side, the flesh seals back up using that fibrous texture that mixes ghoul tissue with parasite filaments, and he keeps coming with a smile. Crash! A tentacle hits me square in the chest and I fly back 10 meters, break through another wall, and land on concrete rubble. I get up and shake off the dust. Honestly, this thing is solid. Hey! The hybrid stops and speaks. His voice comes from two places at once, the ghoul's throat and other sounds resonating on top of it from inside, and it produces a strange effect, like hearing two people speaking at exactly the same time in different tones. Why are you attacking us? Isn't it a little late to be asking that? I brush the last bits of concrete off my shoulder and look at him. Because you're a threat to someone I care about. Do I need another reason? He tilts his head to one side, and the parasite's blade tentacles twitch. When we are sent to this planet, we receive a mission. Someone gave it to us. A mission to exterminate those who live on Earth. Someone. Humans call it God. God, huh? I don't know if it's the same God from the myth of creation or something else that calls itself that, but either way, I don't have enough information to decide anything right now. Mr. Hybrid keeps talking. You are like us, aren't you? So why don't you carry out the mission? At that, I burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. After a few seconds, I settle down, go serious, and move toward him. I never received any mission from any god. My right fist hits his face and drives him into the alley floor, opening a crater 2 meters deep. The concrete around it cracks outward in a broken star pattern. I crouch at the edge of the crater and look down at him. But don't worry about that. The end of days is coming no matter what, and when it does, that mission of yours will take care of itself. The end of days? From inside the crater, the hybrid's double voice sounds confused. Before he can say anything else, the tentacles reach out from the crater to both sides, and the hybrid starts dragging himself toward where the parasite bodies I killed earlier are lying. He reaches the first one, his head opens, and he swallows it whole. Then the second, then the third and fourth at the same time. Ho! I stand and take a step back, watching. As he absorbs the others, the hybrid's body starts to change. His shoulders widen, his muscles grow so much that the skin tears and the flesh underneath is exposed. The tendons press out visibly over his arms and legs. Blades extend from the cocoon that remind me of my own mutated ones. Considerably larger. 2.5 times, maybe 3 times the size of before. This thing can evolve too. Oddly enough, that makes me smile. Hey! A bigger target is easier to hit, you know. The monster lunges at me. On top of being stronger, the hybrid's attacks now come from more angles, and with more brute force behind them. The parasite's filaments shoot out from every direction at once, some aimed at my legs, others at my head, others at my torso. It's a pattern that clearly learned from our earlier exchanges, trying to cover the gaps I used to hit him before. Kuhu. It doesn't bore me, so I fight with everything I've got. My cocoon extends into 6 tentacles. I take hits that send me crashing into walls, and close the wounds on the way down. He takes mine and closes them on the way back. The alley is starting to look pretty wrecked. At one point where he has his tentacles extended and is bearing down on me from above, I show a wide, distorted smile. This should be enough. At the same time, waves of mental frequency wrap around the monster's body. Flesh dreams of biting itself, and every eye aches for a sibling. Accompanied by sounds of cracking and moaning that seem to come from everywhere at once, mouths full of teeth open in his skin, and start chewing his own flesh from inside. And clouded, bleeding eyes burst up between the exposed muscles and blink. I feel my head buzz a little. Using this ability against an opponent with a strong physical body takes a lot of mental energy. Grower. The monster roars and tries to tear the mouths off with his tentacles, but the mouths bite the tentacles too. The eyes open and find my face, and some of them look away on their own, as if they don't want to see, and when they do, the sight drives them mad and a few burst with a small, wet sound. Mr. Hybrid staggers back several meters. What are you? You're a monster. The double voice trembles with fear. Hearing that, my excitement drains away pretty quickly. Where did that smile go? And here I thought he was a strong opponent. Someone who's afraid of me doesn't deserve my attention. I look at him with a flat expression and pull the mouths and eyes back from his body. Then I walk straight toward him. In the final stretch of the fight, the hybrid tries several more attacks but without the coordination from before, because the parasite side and the ghoul side are no longer in sync. It looks like what he actually gained when he absorbed his fallen companions wasn't evolution, but a temporary buff with a serious downside. His biology is now fighting against itself. Because of that, my attacks get through with less and less resistance. I tear off the left Kagun while planting my foot on his back, then catch the right one with my hand and kick his body hard enough to send him flying. Crash! I pull out the parasite's filaments one by one, and by the time I'm done, the ghoul's body is on the ground in rough shape. Then something I didn't expect happens. The ghoul's head warps and separates from its neck. The head has transformed, parasite tentacles extended. I thought the fusion with its host was complete, and that it couldn't separate anymore, but apparently it still can, though the body it leaves behind is a wreck that starts withering the instant it's abandoned. The parasite drops to the ground and starts moving at an alarming speed, using its tentacle to propel itself forward. I track it through the all-seeing eyes I have scattered around the area, as I run after it out of the alley. The parasite hits the main street, crosses to the opposite sidewalk, and about 50 meters down it finds a kid around my age. That kid has dark hair, a school uniform, and looks like he's talking to, or actually more like arguing with, his own hand. Mr. Parasite marks him in a second and launches itself at his head. The kid startles, lets out a frightened sound, and then his right hand, the one he'd been arguing with, stretches out. His skin and muscles extend, and the fingers transform, elongate, become blades, and block the parasite in midair just centimeters from his face. The parasite gets caught between the blades of the kid's right hand, which holds it there. Staring at it with wide eyes, the kid takes a few shaky steps back. I reach the end of the alley and stop about 10 meters away, watching the scene. Shinichi Izumi. Chapter 134, Chapter 133. 921 words. The parasite is caught between the fingers of the kid's right hand, and for a moment neither of them moves. I stop about 10 meters away, and watch from the top of a building. Then the parasite opens something along the front of its body, and speaks directly to the hand. You failed. You should have gone for the head. And the hand answers back. That's a pretty strange thing to watch. A hand talking in a high-pitched voice that doesn't come from any throat. Don't blame me. The default drive to take the head doesn't fall under my control. The hand has a point. A parasite enters the nearest body to where it lands. Its main objective is to take over the host's brain, and it can get there from practically anywhere on the body it entered. Unless something blocked the path, which clearly happened here, since this parasite ended up in the kid's right arm instead of his head. The parasite tries to move upward, toward the kid's neck, but the hand squeezes tighter and the blade fingers slice off several tentacles. The parasite pulls back, then speaks again. You. Listen. I currently have no host. If this goes on, I'll wither soon. But if we share a host, both of us will be stronger, and we can live up to 500 years thanks to my mutation. What do you say? The hand doesn't respond to the offer right away. The kid, who had been watching all of this with wide eyes and barely saying a word, opens his mouth and calls to his hand. Hey. Mijai. His hand still doesn't respond. The kid looks pretty worried, and he has good reason to be, because if his hand accepts the offer, the next thing that happens is that parasite cuts his head off. That wouldn't be great for him. Parasite notices Mijai's silence and adds. You're still very inexperienced, aren't you? I had already matured enough to take full control of my host's head. When one of us reaches that level, we can transfer and fuse with another head. If you accept, we both gain something. Mijai stays quiet for a few more seconds. The kid swallows as a drop of sweat slides down his cheek. I've been with this human for a while now. And being with him, between a human's sentimentality and our coldness. I prefer the sentimentality. Maybe because the parasite won't hesitate to kill him if it has to, since it's just a hand, with no absolute control over the body. But with a human, who is capable of feeling affection, from its logic it might be easier to manipulate and earn sympathy. Even without the head, it can keep living through the nutrients it gets from its host. The parasite seems surprised for a second or two. You're an idiot. Then it lunges forward with all the speed it has left, intending to kill them both first, and then take the kid's head on its own. Mijai's fingers stretch several meters like rubber, and from the tips come blades that make a pretty sharp sound slicing through the air. Mijai blocks the parasite's blades one by one, but the parasite has more speed now and Mijai starts to give a little ground. The kid also steps back, moving his arm wherever Mijai needs it, but his face makes it pretty clear he has no idea what to do with the rest of his body. Parasite finds a gap in Mijai's defense and fires a blade tentacle straight at the kid's head. Mijai deflects it just in time, but it still catches the kid's cheek and opens a cut. Even without a host right now, I have already evolved. That's why you can't do anything. Die for your stupidity along with your host. The parasite lines up its next attack, using all its blades to finish off both of them in one move. But before it can launch, a hand grabs it from behind. Parasite goes completely still. I hold it in front of my face, between my index finger and thumb, and smile at it with all my teeth. Hi. Its tentacles try to cut my fingers, but without a full body now it's much weaker, and the blades make the sound of hitting metal. My mouth opens disproportionately. The parasite is no doubt looking at my teeth in that moment, though I don't think it has much time to think about it, because I eat it in one bite before it can do anything else. Its tentacles try to fight back for a second inside, but my teeth cut through them without much trouble, and whatever's left goes down. Huh. Feels like eating a squid. I close my mouth and wipe the corner of my lip with my thumb. Tastes pretty bad, though. After that, I turn toward the kid. He's staring at me with very wide eyes. Mijai is also looking, with two eyes, one at the tip of the index finger, and the other at the tip of the middle finger. Both of them stay quiet for several seconds. I put my hands in my pockets. Shinichi Izumi, right. The kid blinks hard and raises Mijai in front of him, taking a few steps back. You know me. A little. He looks down at Mijai, then lifts his chin again to meet my eyes. Why you ate it. As you can see. So you're not human either. No. Chapter 135, bruh. 18 words. I have a bad cold, and I probably won't be posting any chapters today since I can't write. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a story.